yesterday's workout. 30 muscle-ups per time.
Yeah.
Finished at 9:55. It's the first ever. I've never done 30 muscle or strict muscle. I should say strict muscle because there's a difference.
There's a big difference.
The regular muscle-ups are much easier. I think I've done that quite a bit faster, maybe closer to 5-ish minutes. But today I just nice and easy singles every 20 seconds. Do one rep. And every 20 seconds. Yeah. I know with my game plan, I got to 15 right at technically 4:45 because that took me 5 seconds to do the rep. And I was like, cool, if I can keep this pace, it should be done right at 10 seconds. So I fell off just a little bit, but I finished right at 9:55. So that's it, just nice and smooth. Could I push a little bit more? Maybe, but.
I saw Kenton RX it too.
He did, yeah. I think it was like 12:17 or something like that, which is a really good time because I don't think he knew you could do that many strict muscle-ups. And it is a feat of strength.
Oh, absolutely.
Drastically different than, say a deadlift or a bench press or anything like that. But
no, from your whole body.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's you're manipulating your whole body weight through a very long range of motion.
Yeah.
It's for those that don't know what a muscle up is, it's hanging from a ring or a bar. So whatever your length, whatever your arm span is, 2 to 3 feet, you gotta pull yourself above the apparatus and then press yourself out. So you're traveling 5 to 6 feet with your of your body weight, right? So if you're 200 pounds, imagine taking your weight and pushing it 6 feet with your arms, basically. And that's what it is, because it's not legs. A lot of people can do that with their legs. They're much more comparable with that. On a deadlift, you're only traveling like 2 feet, so you're lifting that weight. For Antonio, it's only 1.5 feet, but everyone else is 2 feet.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and it's a task. That's for sure. It's mentally, you have to keep really good composure, and I'm sure you as a ex-athlete can appreciate some of that.
I have a whole new appreciation for gymnastics.
Okay, that's fair. And it's funny because Antonio would make fun of his nephew Jake because he was enrolled in gymnastics for a little bit of time. But man, what we do, there's a good chunk of gymnastics, right? About 30% of what we do is gymnastic based, and just body control, body awareness. But it's not really gymnastics, it's what I said, it's body awareness. And if I can teach you to manipulate your body in a way that others can't, think how much more force and pressure, strength you can apply, and just mentally, right? Being able to, you're a football guy, being able to push people around with one arm, or finding that right leverage point, being able to use your mass against their mass. So
gymnastics, the ring muscle ups, and then they hold the ring.
The iron cross, I'm not done that yet. I'm not trying to.
No, but that's some massive strength.
Right. Yeah, it's a definite challenge. So, anyways, Dale and I have been talking, and you guys will hear that part. This is Dale.
Oh.
Dale, why don't you give a brief introduction about yourself? Something. So here. I gave your name already. Tell us what you're doing for work right now. I already know it. It's kind of a joke. And then I want you to tell me. So I asked the pregnancy group what their favorite girl workout was, but I don't know if you've done enough of them to necessarily know what your favorite was. So maybe just your favorite workout that you may have done.
My favorite workout is probably one where we had to run a mile, come in and do, I believe it was 25 push presses, and then I think it was 25 deadlifts, and then go out and run another mile.
Okay. I think that was relatively recent, within the last 4 or 5 hours.
I think it was one of my first.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, last summer.
I know we did something very similar. Yeah, maybe it was in the spring. We try to stay away from the super long runs in the summer because it does get pretty hot here. It's detrimental to be out in that heat for too long, especially with what we're trying to do. But yeah, no, that's would you have expected any sort of running workout would be something you really remember or would have been a favorite of yours?
No.
I don't think you would as much of a runner.
No. I enjoy running, but I'm not that.
Yeah.
And
And so it was 2 miles.
2 miles.
You did a mile in front and a mile in the end.
Yeah.
It was on the whiteboard, so you have to do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or try your best.
And so what are you doing for work right now?
For work, I'm retired.
There we go, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think when we dive into something more, because today's your birthday, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dale is the ripe age of
64.
Oh, I was gonna say 34, but
Oh, I feel like I'm 34.
okay, there you go. 64-year-old who feels like he's 34.
Yeah.
So you joined in 2020, right? Or just before COVID. Just before COVID. How old did you feel before you joined? So it's only been a year and a half.
I felt like I was like 60.
Okay, you felt it. So
I felt the age.
and now you feel much younger.
Much younger.
Okay. And you've had a relatively active lifestyle.
Oh, absolutely.
So what are some things you've been doing, like through retirement and just?
I play golf.
Okay.
And, yeah, things around the house and travel, but I enjoy coming to the gym.
That's it. That's the sweet
I
spot.
enjoy it.
So kind of like going back, I know I don't want to like always touch on your age, but I think it's a really important highlight because we get a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm too old or I'm not in good enough shape to do CrossFit. But I think you're a great counterpoint to that. You were retired before you started, so you weren't doing anything, basically. There was stuff to do, but you basically been like have no purpose to do stuff.
No, I had no purpose. I was just traveling and playing golf, and I kind of wanted to get in better shape so that when I did travel more, my wife and I, that I would be able to sustain long period walks and travel and hiking, and it was kind of to get in shape. And then my doctor told me, I want you to go out and break a sweat. I want you to break a sweat when you work out. So I thought, okay,
Yeah.
he gave me the green light.
There we go. That's it. I love it. And so your daughter does CrossFit.
Yes,
How long has she done it before?
She's been doing it for probably about 7 years.
Okay. So she's obviously talked about it.
Oh, absolutely.
And it always has commended you to try and everything like that. And I think anyone should try and convince their parents to do CrossFit. I think parents should try and convince their kids to do CrossFit. I think it's a whole revolving door. But what were your kind of like holdups for maybe trying it sooner?
Mine was basically not wanting to get hurt, my shoulders and stuff. And but the more you do, the more mobile you get, the stronger you get. And so you're basically building more flexibility and stuff. So your shoulder strength comes with time.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm not afraid of it.
Good. And what did you have a particular shoulder injury coming in that was like really nagging you and bugging you?
Yeah, I've had a right shoulder because I did a lot of pitching in high school,
Mm-hmm.
baseball and stuff like that, and an elbow problem, but it's coming along really fine. And I've had a knee issue, but it's coming along, and a hip issue that I didn't rehab properly, and now it's coming along really well.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember which one was the biggest one. I think you just kind of woke up and like the pain was just gone on one of those. Do you remember which one it was?
It's my knee mostly.
Okay. And it's basically like, hey, I'm not even thinking about my knee.
I don't think about it.
Yeah. And whereas, for the last 10 years, it was probably something that bugged
It
you.
bothered me a lot.
Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with us just trying to get you to move better instead of crushing you into the ground, right?
Exactly.
And so, on that, as someone who's older, how much thought do you put into a workout before you attempt to try something new versus something you feel comfortable with? So, and you might have to think back a little bit because I know you're feeling pretty comfortable with stuff now. You're like, hey, I know my sweet spots. But early on, how did you kind of find that line?
You test to see where your pain tolerance is and what your body will adjust to, and then you kind of adjust to going backwards. Because I couldn't jump rope to begin with.
A lot of people got that problem.
It hurt my knee.
Okay, yeah.
And so over time it developed with the stretching, a lot more stretching, and the strengthening of the leg and the knee, the ligaments and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's come along. So now I'm not afraid to jump the rope. Double unders, that's another story.
Yeah,
Still
that's
tempting.
a little bit more coordination required on that one.
Yeah.
And that's just practice, right? It's like throwing pitches.
Yeah.
Here's the strike zone, you just gotta practice hitting it. And that's a really good point. The strengthening of the ligaments and joints, the stretching, it's all, would you say, okay, so let's put it down this way. How much time of your day, like how many minutes, do you spend stretching?
Well, I get up, because I do the 5:15 class in the morning, and I get up at 3:45 to take a hot shower.
Okay.
I stretch in the shower before I come to class. And so I'm in the shower for about 20 minutes, stretching.
Hashtag retired life.
Yeah, right. And then I come in, and then I stretch my shoulders out and continue to stretch my back and my legs out. So I spend probably about a good 40 minutes a day stretching, and then after the workout, we stretch.
Yeah, and I think I want to kind of, because I know your routine a little bit. The shower stretching, you're holding that a little bit. However, I know with the shoulder stuff, it's all movement-based stretching.
Right.
So dynamic stretching, we talked about this, like how we need that dynamic stretching instead of the static stretching right before the workout, because that's where we're going to be best, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't even consider that necessarily stretching. It's more of a warm-up, right?
Warm-up, yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And you're preparing yourself. Now, let's take a step back, because you come to a couple of the evening classes.
Yes.
Do you have that same routine when you go to the evening classes?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And the same thing on Saturday morning class, same routine.
Okay.
It's kind of, an athlete usually tries to keep his routine the same, whether he's preparing for a game days, he stays within that routine.
Yeah.
And so I keep the same thing going.
And I think the important part of it is it feels good.
Yes.
Right? Because if it doesn't feel comfortable, if it doesn't feel like you probably should change it, and you should probably do something different.
Right.
And I think you would definitely adapt to whatever that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife, Dorita, she probably doesn't spend 20 minutes in the shower.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But she still comes in, crushes it,
Yeah.
but then she's got to hurry up and go to work.
Yeah.
She's not retired. She'll get there in a couple of years. But everyone has a different sweet spot.
Yes.
And I think, especially with the older population, there's definitely a need to not necessarily spend more time warming up, but a emphasis on making sure they're super beneficial to what is really bugging you.
Absolutely. And I think that the older you get, the more stretching you do need to get the flexibility so that you're able to do a lot of the things. Because if you don't have the flexibility, it's going to take you longer to get there.
Yeah. And I just realized that this thing isn't plugged in this entire time. That's all right. I would have put the entire conversation just now as well. All right, now you guys are gonna hear.
Okay.
With the flexibility, you are someone who always tests your flexibility with touching your toes.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was like before you started?
Well, not getting down there at all.
Could you get your fingers to your toes?
Yes, I can get my fingers to toes, but now I can get my hands flat.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen you do it. And I'm like, all right, that's impressive, because I can't do that on most days.
Yeah.
And that's because you're, putting in that work and really getting that flexibility in. Do you think that the, what would I call that? What would you kind of attribute that most to, the increase in that flexibility? What do you think is kind of, because you kind of judged it the most, and you're in a good start where you're a year and a half in, so you can remember most of everything you've gone through at this point.
A lot of it is the stretching and the pre-workout, but the strengthening part of it when you do like box jumps and rope climbs and things, it's the strengthening, and then you stretch afterwards. I think that helps with the flexibility for me.
Now, what do you think your coolest attribute movement-wise is
I love the rope.
Okay, yeah, I heard you drop that, and I was like,
Yeah.
That's all that's popping in your head.
Yeah.
Did you have to do that back in high school?
No, I don't remember doing that in high school. No.
Because
I remember doing it in grade school.
Okay.
But we never had to do it.
There's a certain age that some did it in high school, and then it went away for a little bit, and then some more did it in high school, and I don't know I haven't Googled it to figure out what the rules are on.
But I don't think they do it in grade school.
They do. Well, they don't do it in grade school. They don't do it in high school.
Yeah.
And that was even before me. They cut that out. And I think because you went to UBC high school, and I know they had the ropes in the wrestling room is where they had them, and that's like a 25 or 30 foot ceiling in there, which is ridiculously high compared to the 15 feet we're normally climbing.
Right.
But granted, that's only usually one rope climb. Over here, we're doing multiple rope climbs on a not a regular basis, but you have to do multiple in a workout. What is a movement that maybe you hated at first and you've come to really enjoy?
I didn't think I could do a handstand push-up.
Okay, yeah.
And I absolutely love those.
All right.
I'm not great at them, but I can do them. And I'm impressed that I can do them.
Yeah.
That I can actually stand on my hands and even just stand on my hands at my age and then could do push-ups. That's
right, even on top of that. Yeah. And that's very, like, I don't think people, because we are changing the idea of what age actually means. Like if I told you like, oh yeah, I have 50-year-olds in here doing handstands, you're like, okay, maybe I could see that. But if I told you like, yeah, we have 60-plus-year-olds in here doing handstands, you'd be like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of your buddies? Think of how many of those guys could probably do a handstand. And I bet you can count them on 0 hands.
There's none of them.
Right.
And my wife does them too.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Right, and it's you guys are such a small, it's a 0.01% of a 99.9% who kind of fits into that category. And is it dangerous?
I don't think so.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, we're not all you're doing is holding a handstand.
Yeah, doing a handstand.
All you do is just locking out your arms, right?
I remember the first one I tried to do, I crumbled down, but I didn't get hurt.
Right.
It's like,
and that's, the body is meant to kind of withstand.
But
those things.
my upper body strength wasn't, enough to hold myself at first.
Yep.
But it didn't take me that long to get there. To do a handstand.
And that, we got the handstand down, and then it took a little bit longer to get the handstand push-up part.
Oh, absolutely.
That's drastically
it's a technique
different.
in itself.
Yeah. And that's where you touched on a good point, is you didn't have the strength to hold up your body weight basically, which is, we go back, I don't know, 30 years maybe, in your 30s, you probably had the strength to do it.
Absolutely, because I weighed less too.
So that usually helps a little bit, especially on those gymnastic movements. What do you think was the cause for the deterioration of your strength? What do you think happened?
Oh, age and inactivity of being that active. But I was able to lift a lot of stuff anyway around. But it's just you're inactive and getting older. You just don't do the same things you used to do when you were younger.
Yeah.
So that would be one of the biggest causes of it.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is as as people age, I think early on they think like, okay, hey, we're capable of a lot of stuff, and then as they age, they still think they're capable of a lot of stuff, but that deterioration is just kind of slowly accumulating, and then it reaches a point where it's like, oh, I actually cannot do this anymore. But a good analogy I like is you have absolutely no problem picking up whatever you need to in your day-to-day life and moving it wherever you need to.
I can do that,
right?
yes.
How many people are in your age and probably a little bit more older specifically who can't, pick up their groceries necessarily all the time, put them on the counter, right? Or carry stuff around if they need to. That is day-to-day life that every 60 to 80-year-old basically has to do because no kid wants to come over and necessarily help them.
Absolutely, and the first thing to go is your legs too. When you get older, and if you don't use them and start building your strength and keep that strength, that's the first thing to go, and you'll be in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and then
you're dependent on everybody else.
And that's one thing I like to say is, it's tough because people want to have a giving nature. They want to help others. However, I tell them like, you can't help others if you can't help yourself.
Exactly.
And that's where it's like, we need to start taking care of our bodies in order to be able to help other people. Like, so if you're a helpful person, like, you almost have to have a little bit of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, like, commitment to yourself, devotion. It's just whatever, however you want to think about it. It's like, hey, I need to come first.
You need to take care of yourself before you can help take care of others. But the main thing is to help other people, you have to make yourself stronger mentally too, because taking care of somebody takes a lot of time and a big commitment. So the commitment should come to you to take care of yourself and strengthen your own body, and then you can help others too.
Yeah.
And then they can get there too.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, because if we can set ourselves up that it's a revolving door of, hey, I don't need anyone to take care of me, but the other people around me are also taking care of themselves, then you're able to go out and do much more.
Yes.
Right? Now, I know you and Dorita haven't been able to take any vacation necessarily because of COVID and everything.
Right.
But at some point, it'll come back. And do you guys have any big plans about like because you're both super active now, about anything active you guys really want to do?
The Camino de Santiago is a walk in Spain in the Basque Country, and sometimes it's a hike of like a month or more.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of our goals we wanted to do, and so that's one of the reasons we wanted to get more fit and be able to do that, because I kind of like to do that, but not stay in hostels. I want to stay in hotels.
Yeah.
But
hey, that's fair.
so yeah.
And then like think about that. How confident do you feel in just being, if I teleported you there right now, and you could just go off on that into that hike or walk
I could do that now.
100%.
Yeah.
No, not even think
Cardio wise, everything. Yeah. Physically.
And it doesn't matter. So it could probably be one of the most strenuous things ever, but you feel mentally capable enough that
Yes.
hey, this task is doable,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And I think that's a big thing. So how much of a mental change have you seen in your ability to like push yourself?
I've seen a big change. Yeah, it's every day is a challenge, and so I mentally prepare myself for that challenge of every day's workout. I know what's coming every day. I just don't know exactly how it's going to be presented. But mentally, I've figured it out before I start.
Okay.
So you're preparing yourself every day for the challenge, and I like that.
I mean, I know you like the challenge, but are there days you feel aren't going to be good days, like you're just kind of worn out and you're like, you know what, I'm not really going to challenge myself today?
Oh yeah, yes, there is days, and I looked at this week, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that one, and I was like, but when I get here, everything changes. It's like, it's a joke. I come in and it's a just move day, and yeah, it's just move real fast.
Yeah,
for me,
move faster than you thought you were going to. And I think that's a big thing, because a lot of people are like, they get mentally worn out by seeing something. They're like, I can't do that. But how often do you do the workout as prescribed?
I try to do it every day, but I can't do. I have to scale it down.
Yeah.
But I try to shoot for like the 1,000-meter run. I did 800 meters because I knew 1,000 meters just wasn't, but I did the rest of it.
Yeah.
But,
and that's where it's like, I mean, you did the reps. How much did you end up deadlifting on that day? Remember? It was 185 was the prescribed.
I think I did 135.
135, great. And that's the thing, is like, so I mean, most of the time you're not doing the workout perfectly as prescribed.
Yeah.
You're doing the reps, hopefully. You're doing like the distances, right? And that's what you're trying to like, hey, I'm achieving for something, and that's good enough challenge. It doesn't matter how you really feel, even if it's a just move day.
Yeah.
So, and then kind of on that, how many days a week do you come?
I come 5 to sometimes 6 days a week. I prefer to come 6 days a week, but sometimes my body just needs the rest. So I really want to come tomorrow, because it's going to be handstand push-ups.
Is it? I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh, I'm preparing myself
because
I know that's what I want to do. It's rowing.
Oh, that's right.
100 calorie row
with a partner.
With a partner, and 50 handstand push-ups. And I know that I've got something to do tomorrow night, but I don't want to wear myself out too much, but I still want to do that. So I'm still trying to talk Dorita into coming tomorrow as a partner.
I'll be your partner on that one if you need to be.
It's something, because I really enjoy doing it, and whether I can't do it all the way, I mean, at least I'm here moving
Right.
and getting stretched out some more.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing where people lose focus. That especially that's different from a CrossFit gym than a traditional gym. Is they go to the gym and they just get on the treadmill or the elliptical for 45 minutes, and maybe they do some leg pressing on the machine or whatever that happens to be. That's 99% of people that go to the gym, and it's like that is neat, but it's also just repetitive, right? All that's getting worked on is just the same thing you're doing over and over again, which is why here we have the constantly varied programming, and it's just like, cool, let's do something different each day.
Yeah.
So the body can take a little bit of rest with one thing and have to figure out how to do something else. And by constantly challenging the body to do new and unique things, because that is what you do in your day-to-day life, then that way you're set up for that. Good.
Because there's days where you come in and you're sore from the workouts from like this week. And this morning I was like, okay, we did back squats yesterday and it was heavy, and we came in and I was like, oh man, my hamstrings are sore. But as we stretched out, I felt great leaving here. I felt absolutely just, every time I leave, I feel really good. I accomplished something and I feel really good about myself.
And so, and you mentioned you accomplished something. Is there anything else that you think like that really makes you feel good when you leave? Like about your day, about, I mean, like you said, you accomplished. So I'm trying to think of, I don't know, any other triggers you might have. Like, man, that was exciting. It was exciting to be around people. So whatever it happens to be for you.
Well, it's exciting to work out with the group of people, because everybody here is so friendly, and they encourage everybody. That's kind of the encouragement that pushes you to do better and to want to come. So the encouragement on their part and being here part of it makes me feel good. This is my happy place. This is my happy place.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a nice little thing, because what are some things you still do outside of the gym? So what are some other hobbies you have?
Oh, I like I said, I play golf.
Okay.
I like riding my Harley around. And
Okay,
I
cool.
like doing yard work.
All right.
and things like that. I kind of enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's good, because I think a lot of people get addicted to the gym. How many hours a day do you spend here at the gym?
Maybe an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 15 minutes at the
absolutely.
most.
And that's because
Just like to come to the sauna.
Yeah, that's because you usually get here early, right?
Yeah,
And like you're
Yeah.
here earlier
But
than
most of your time you're here for an hour.
Yeah, and then you know maybe a little bit mingling after,
Yeah.
right? It's not a ton of time. But it's a very prescriptive hour.
Right.
It's very much like, hey, this is what we're doing. You come in, there's a purpose, there's a goal, and then the goal, or for you, it's like, all right, I have something to achieve. I'm trying to think of maybe the best way of saying this. When we tell you what the goal is, does it ever change your mindset of, okay, I can challenge myself today, or I need to take it easy today?
Sometimes when I hear the goal, it's like, ooh, is that attainable for me? So I kind of have to process it a little bit. It's like today, strict muscle ups. I know that's not in me. It's not going to happen, but there's something in it for me and to work towards. And so you try different things in the warm up, and so you find something that hits you. And yeah, I got a great workout today.
Yeah, no, I know. So I was talking to Shelly before, and she was realizing that, man, this is gonna get really, really tough for this amount of time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, it was just kind of setting in as we got closer and closer to starting, because she's like, if I do this right, it should be really, really challenging.
Yeah.
And it's still not the prescribed version,
Right.
but it's a replication of what it's
What you're
supposed
supposed
to
to feel like. And yes, I did it. It was tough.
Yeah.
But I really got something a lot out of it.
And that's really good. I mean, and there's some days where you probably get maybe less out of it than others. No, and I mean like marginally less. So in the sense that, so you know, I'm sure like Monday's workout, that was the snatching and the biking workout. Did you sit down after that workout was over? Yes. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now,
It's a lung buster.
Yeah. Now, if we took another workout, or if you felt super confident on that workout, like you were just jazzed up and high, and then you were like pumped after you finished, and you didn't sit down because you just sort of like pumped, that's the difference. Like people don't recognize the difference between those two. They feel like they always are supposed to lay down after a workout, but they don't recognize that if you're excited after a workout, like you feel jazzed and like, yeah, I just got that done.
Yeah.
You're not even thinking about how tired you are.
Right.
So that's the difference I think people would recognize as like, oh, I didn't get this, you know, that appropriate workout out of this.
Oh.
Do you ever have that experience?
No, I usually try to leave it all here.
Okay. And that's the thing is like you've had workouts where like, man, that was fun.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's other people laying on the ground.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
There's been some of those.
And that's where it's like, should I be laying on the ground? Like, no, that's just how it affected each
Right.
person.
Yeah.
And it's good to recognize that though. And I think a lot of people miss that. It's like, hey, I need to take a step back and see like this was great for me. And that's mostly why you're excited as you are. And the other people are like, oh, they struggle through that. Do you ever, how often do you encourage people when you're either done with your workout or during the workout?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day, because it reciprocates, because they're doing the same thing to you too. And when I'm out running, some people can't speak while they're running. Because it's tough.
Yeah.
I try to tell them, come on, you have this, we can do this. And there's times where I'll turn around and I'll run back and then run with them in. I've done that.
There you go, guys. Get 64 years old and just go for extra runs because you can.
Let's just go back and
do it again.
I'm not leaving anybody behind.
Yeah, and that's good. I think that's a good place to be because, especially with what we're trying to achieve here, is we're not trying to, like you said, leave anybody behind. It's meant to challenge each individual where they are, and everyone's going to have a different struggle point.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling good, it's like great. You know, share those celebrations with other people. And kind of on that, you're one of our ambassadors here.
Yes.
Kind of talk to people about being introducing people to the brand. So like, if you had a new person come in, like what would be some things you would tell them about like, hey, this is how things are going to work out. You're going to be just fine. How would you kind of say that?
First, I welcome them to the gym and introduce myself and other people that are here. And then ask them questions like, is this your first time you've been working out? Because myself, I hadn't worked out in 40 years. I hadn't been to a gym since I was in my 20s. And so it was real intimidating for me. And so to do a sit-up was a struggle. So I kind of want to know if this is their first time here or first time working out and how long it's been since they worked out. So you kind of get a feel for it. So then you can kind of oversee them and encourage them that, hey, the first time wasn't so good for me either, you know, but it's going to get better. The more you dedicate yourself, the more you put in the work, the better you're going to be.
Do you remember your first workout?
Yes. It was bike and rower, and I want to say there was skier involved. But
so it was a team workout.
It was a team workout. And I remember my wife fell off the rower. She'll never forget it either, but I was like, holy smokes, this is some serious stuff. And when I left here, I was, you don't want to let anybody down on a team effort. And it was like, oh, I left not feeling so hot that day, because I exerted myself pretty good.
I think, so I kind of vaguely remember this workout, and because I remember it was during Prayer Friend Week, and I remember I was like, hey, I'm going to tell each person this is how long I want you to spend on whatever apparatus it was. And I think it was like, hey, only go like 30, 45 seconds and then like hop off and rest. And were you guys on the same team at the end of the day?
I don't know if we were or not.
Okay. I can't remember how it was laid out like that, but I distinctly remember, especially for that one, was at one point there was like just it might not have been your class, but at one of the classes that day, there was like 3 or 4 members left, and there was like 4 bring your friends just like sitting on the ground. I was like, come on guys, like just dead tired from, they weren't used to that.
Used to it, no.
And we were doing 30 seconds of work roughly, and resting about 2-ish minutes, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. So it wasn't like, it was just nonstop work. It was just like that level of energy put forth was the challenge.
Because I was trying to put forth the effort that I thought I could do when I was 20. And that doesn't happen instantaneously like that. And so we actually worked out about 6 workouts, and then COVID shut us down. But you were emailing workouts to us, and so we were doing them at home. And my daughter did CrossFit, and she lives in the Bay Area, so she would come up and show us some of the movements too, and show us. And we had dumbbells and jump ropes and stuff at home, and so she would show us how to do things. So that, and we did running and step ups, and so that kind of got us into shape somewhat, because we did it really 6 days then. And so then when the gym opened back up, there was kind of a relief, because like, okay, I can do some of this now.
And one of the nice things about that was, because you didn't have the people around you basically edging you on to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Because that's usually what the ego does.
Right.
Is like, oh, that person's doing box jumps, I can do that. Like, well, hold on there, cowboy. You're,
Get ahead of yourself.
You're 63 Dale. Like, let's take a chill pill real quick. Being able to do it at home, it's much more relaxing. You're just like, no, this is all I'm doing today. Like, this is appropriate, because this is all and that's all you had, right? You didn't have a ton of choices. Like, these are the dumbbells you have, this is the jump rope you have, and then you got to find a box or something, a chair you could step up on, right? So you were very limited in what equipment you could access.
Right.
So, but that's kind of what was nice about it, is we were basically able to remove the ego aspect of seeing other people do stuff, and you're like, I can do that. Like, slow down. Let's I believe you. Let's practice this first.
Work into it.
Let's do
but we still timed ourselves, so we pushed to get cardio, and it helped both of us. And then I worked on my jump rope.
Yeah. And so, as bad as COVID was, that was one of the benefits, is like, you guys were able to very much remove yourself from that scenario. And I think, what's one thing you would maybe say to a new person coming in, who's like an ex-athlete like yourself, about modifying appropriately?
Don't think you can do everything right off the get-go. It's a little humble pie, because you think you can do it, but it will come in time. So you can't eat the elephant all in one bite. Take little bites is probably what I'd tell them.
Okay, I like that. It's a good analogy. And you said don't think you can do it all at once, and I would say don't care that you can do it right now. Like, it's not a big deal.
That's not how a lot of athletes are wired.
No, they're not, and it's tough. I can appreciate. That's why I was curious. I think you can't eat an elephant all in one bite is a great analogy. And I would almost use a similar analogy is like, even when you were starting off as an athlete, you weren't doing the freaking professional pro type stuff.
No.
You took years to get to the level, which is why you played sports when you were a kid and took your time, right? This doesn't take years, especially if you're good at adapting. So it's like, if we can take 6 months to a year to just ease into it without killing yourself,
absolutely,
you can do things that you didn't even possibly imagine were going to happen.
Well, I've seen that with several guys here. Flynn, for instance, when he came in his first day on the rower, and he's a young man. I'm going to say he's maybe 20.
I think he's 28-ish, close to 30s. Yeah.
But his first day on the rower, it was a team workout, and he couldn't. He had to sit out for a little bit, and now today,
it's always those damn team workouts.
Now today, he can do everything. He can do everything, and he's only been here maybe
about
a year.
9 months, I think. I don't even know if it's
not even a year. Yeah. and he can do everything, everything.
And it's just
And the transformation is unbelievable.
No. So so I know a lot of people struggle with the idea that they're not in good enough shape to start CrossFit. What would you tell them?
I would tell them they're wrong, because
I like that.
you're definitely wrong. You can't swim until you stick your toe in the water. So
Okay.
stick your toe in the water to get going, and do a little bit at a time, and you'll get there. You'll eventually get there.
I'm gonna write that down. That's a good one. You can't swim until your toes in the water.
Yeah.
Now, I also would not recommend diving in.
No,
If you've never swum
don't dive
before.
in.
Yeah, that's a
No.
terrible idea.
Yeah.
And that's why we have an onboarding process to help introduce people.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice to, when you come to class, be like, hey, I'm just doing the base version of this, and if you crush it, great. I'll give you a high five, and I'm going to tell you, okay, next time we're going to try something a little more challenging.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we check that box of like, you feel comfortable.
Yeah. It's like the day we did the rope climbs, and I think it was supposed to do, I forget how many, and then you said, okay, just do 2 this time. And so I thought, okay, well, let's do 2 this time. Well, I could do 3, and you said, well, I think you should do 3 this time. And then I had time left over on the last round, and you said, do 3. And I was totally spent, but I'm going to give you 3 because you said, give me 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to do 3 this time.
And it's where it's part of my job to like judge, like, okay, how's this athlete look? I'm probably early on, I've like, hey, why don't you do this? And it's been less reps or less weight, right?
Right.
But sometimes it's like, cool, let's do more, depending on how you're doing.
The thing about being here is you have you and all the instructors, it's like a personal trainer. It's a personal trainer, actually, because the class size and everybody here works together, but you see what everybody's doing. And so to me, I have a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. And I'm not doing something correct, you make the adjustment, and it makes a world of difference in how you're lifting or how you're running or whatever it comes. It makes a big difference. So you have a personal trainer.
And I laugh a lot because everyone uses this analogy here, and it bugs me a little bit, to the sense that if I know that personal training would be a better one-on-one experience, but it also excites me to the point that, hey, you're getting a good enough experience that you feel like, hey, no one has ever given me this much attention before,
right.
Which makes me feel sad about the personal training industry, because I'm like, well, okay, personal training is an industry, you need to step it up if my clients in a group setting feel like they're getting one-on-one attention. Mm-hmm. Right? We want to definitely cater to whatever your needs are, but we have to do it in a group type setting. Right? We have little tricks we use to get everyone to the sweet spot, right? But like you said, we are also there making sure everyone's doing everything appropriately,
right,
in order to achieve what they're supposed to be trying to achieve in the workout. So, and that's where I've even given you modified days when you had your you couldn't use your arm. Right. Was it your arm?
Yeah,
right?
I couldn't use my
back?
shoulder.
I can't remember what it was.
And also when I had skin cancer removed, I had stitches I couldn't do. So you modified the workout for me.
How? So because I remember.
I had to do the rower.
How hard was that workout with one arm?
It was tough.
It was freaking ridiculous.
Really tough.
And you did it almost identical to what everyone else did. Yeah. All you did was you just had to do it with one arm. You just couldn't use it.
So you still can come. You still attend, because they're going to modify. So no matter if you're hurting somewhere along the line, you still need to stretch that out, or not work that part of your body. Mm-hmm. Still need to be here.
And I think this is a good point. Injuries are a part of life.
Yes.
Like life. What I like to tell people is, if you have an injury, it's not, as long as it's not affecting your life, it's not an injury.
Right.
All it is preventing you from training at 100%. Mm-hmm. That's fine. You don't need to train at 100% every day. we can train at 70% if that's all you have, because you only have 3 limbs. Like we're just going to train with,
we're going to do something else.
Those 3 limbs. Like that's all we need. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm injured, I can't move. But in actuality, it's better to move when you have a mild injury, depending on what we're talking about.
Yes.
Right? If you have a broken leg, then you're probably not doing much, at least at the start. But we can start introducing things. We can do a lot of upper body stuff if you do have a broken leg.
Shoulders.
I know I've had Jessica had her knee go out on you
yes.
in the class. And like I said, that's not the first time. But she's been on crutches, and I've had her do like, hey, you're doing all upper body stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she just comes in on crutches because she can't use that leg, and it's all upper body. Still got great workouts in.
Yes.
And just by doing that. So the idea that this injury is affecting me is, I think it comes a lot from doctors telling you, hey, you can't do these things, when the doctors don't recognize that if it's not that they can't do these things, it's just they don't know how to do them appropriately.
Yeah.
And there's no one there to teach them how to do that stuff.
And they also think that you're going to do something that you shouldn't do, but if you're here and it's going to be modified to the point where you're not moving where you're not supposed to be moving, you're still going to be effective.
Yeah, and I think that's it's
still, you can still get on the bike and cardio. Mm-hmm. If you say your right arm wasn't able to use your right arm or right shoulder, you still got on the bike and you can go with the left arm and still get cardio with the bike workout.
Yep. There's still something to do.
There's something to do.
I can trust me, I'll figure something out. There's plenty of options. I don't care if you have to do neck circles for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. We'll get to it. Maybe we'll duct tape a weight to your head and we can do some weighted neck circles. I kind of want to dive back to your golf. Mm-hmm. How soon in did you notice a change in your golf game?
God, I'm going to say probably the first 4 months, after 4 months or so, 5 months. Yeah.
Around there, okay.
Little more distance on the ball, mm-hmm. Little more, I was more fluid with the swing because I had more flexibility. But you do have to stretch where you play because it's just like working out, your legs are tight. So once you get loose, the fluidity is there, mm-hmm. so you can get through the ball quicker. And do I play from the senior tees? No.
Well, there you go. That's a win right there. So let me ask you this: based on kind of what you've learned and experienced through here, if you were to go back and teach like football or baseball, how much emphasis would you put into the strength and conditioning room compared to the skill development area in those particular sports, and kind of especially in a youthful age? If we're looking like freshman, junior, or maybe freshman, sophomores a little bit than varsity type
I
sports.
would do more strength conditioning, stretchings, making sure that you're flexible, and then strength and the conditioning, because conditioning, you have to be able to finish. If it's 4 quarters of the game, you want to be able to finish hard and finish strong. So you got to have the strength and the conditioning to finish. And that's usually why when we have a running one or some kind of a workout or time, it's usually, you say that there's 30 seconds or a minute, you always can reach down and grab a little bit extra because there should be a little left in your tank to finish real strong.
Yeah.
And I've been trained that way, that you have to finish strong. Like on a run, if we're going to finish a run, if the last part of the workout's a run, I'm on a dead run. I don't care how much I drop at the end. I'm going to give it everything.
Yeah. And I think that's because something along those lines, I say, like, you can always go faster in round 3. Right? Mm-hmm. It's like quarter 4, the 9th inning. Like, this is where this is it. Like, there's nothing left after this.
That's
you
right.
either leave it out there,
Yep.
you can't take it with you.
Yep.
It's not going anywhere. Obviously, you go to overtime or extra innings. That's a little bit different, but you gotta leave it all out there.
Yep.
And that's not necessarily true on every day.
No.
Right? Every day is going to be a little bit
Everything's different.
Yeah. But kind of moving back to the sports side of things, do you think you could see a drastic change in a team if they had a better strength and conditioning like type program to support
absolutely.
them, as opposed to like spending 2 hours of out there doing tackling practice?
Absolutely, absolutely, no doubt.
Okay.
You would prevent more injuries too. I think you'd have less injuries with strength and conditioning.
No.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to communicate that to the coaches. And a lot of it has to do with ego. And you probably fell in that same boat of like, oh, like I know what I'm doing here, but then you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. I have a lot to learn, I have a lot to practice. And as soon as you can accept that as an athlete, accept that feedback, even as a coach, like that you're not perfect in all areas, you might be really great at one thing, stick to that one thing and get people to help you in those other areas.
Some of it is the mindset of the athlete himself too. Some of them would prefer not to the strength and conditioning part of it. They would rather play the sport, but it's the mindset of the athlete. He's got to want it too.
Yeah, and that's super fair. That's a great way of putting it, because you think back, especially as kids, you're like, like we don't want to do this part. I think there's a way to make conditioning fun though.
Yeah, there is.
I think if you look through at what we do, most of the workouts are like, all right, we're doing handstand push-ups and rowing today.
Yeah.
That's an amazing conditioning piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the workout you're looking forward to tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be a great conditioning piece. One, we're teaching body awareness. Two, they can row as freaking hard as they want to,
Yep.
and it's gonna smash them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not even gonna know what's happening because they're back and forth with the partner.
And
right?
they're competing with one another too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I think you can trick the athlete into
Mm-hmm.
being able to do very successful conditioning drills that are fun and enjoyable, just as much as they would be as to like playing the sport and stuff like
Right.
that. All
'Cause
right.
I remember one of the conditioning things we did was run stadium stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And you run up one side and down the other, and then halfway around the track, then up the visitor side and up and down and around, and they would time us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well we're burning ourselves out, but it's not really any fun.
Right.
It's not fun.
No. And it's like, you're gaining something out of it? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But like you would do that probably what, once or twice a week maybe?
Yeah.
And you're like, really? We're doing this again?
Doing it again.
We can't think of something else to do? Like anything?
Win sprints. And,
Right.
You know.
It's just, super beneficial, right? There is a
Yeah.
purpose
Oh,
to it.
absolutely.
But it's like, cool, let's be creative with it. And I think, I'm sure a couple coaches would be like, well, we don't have the time to do that. I'm like, yeah, probably not, because this isn't your job. Your job is to coach the team, make sure the right players are playing, make sure they're doing the things they're supposed to be doing, right? That's your job as the head coach.
And the fundamentals of the game.
Yeah, find a strength and conditioning coach who's going to teach them how to have fun, and that's the big thing.
Yeah, it's the difference. It's strength and conditioning, and have a strength and conditioning program, not during just the season, but all season, and even after summertime, which, that's a big time.
Yeah, and I think, would you think that would prevent a little bit of burnout in sports?
It had prevent burnout and prevent injuries, but the burnout part of it comes when you're too much tackling drills and stuff, repetitive stuff like that. If you're doing strength and conditioning of kind of like CrossFit here, it gives you a variety of things. So you're getting upper body, you're getting lower body, plus you're getting the competitiveness in your brain that, hey, we're competing here. So you have something to shoot for every day. So it's a game within a game.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the things that could be definitely beneficial is like, during the off season, if you're doing CrossFit or any sort of strength and conditioning, like this is gonna make it so that you're excited to go to season, and then when season's over, you're like excited to go back to strength and conditioning.
Right.
And I think that would kind of help with that.
Absolutely.
That thought of like, oh, I'm just burnt out of playing this sport, because you can't. How many times do you want to go out there and just throw the ball to warm up for baseball and like then stand out in whatever center field, and because no one can hit the ball out there to you, you're just like, all right, this is repetitive and boring and just the same thing over and over again.
and just go through it, just kind of a waste of my day.
And if you want to avoid that mindset, I think you need to constantly vary what you're doing. And so I think there's a place for implementing that strength and conditioning on a year-round basis. Now, I would also say that we have to be careful with not just doing agility type training as conditioning,
Right.
Because I think that can be super repetitive as well. And I think that's a very common conditioning tool that a lot of coaches try to push and take advantage of. It's like, hey, are you doing this agility type stuff? And it's like, no, well, it's good, it's beneficial, but again, if you're just pushing the same thing over and over and over again, it becomes repetitive. And as we've shown with CrossFit, we can be as varied as possible and we can achieve tremendous results from it.
You've got all different array of different activities. I mean, well, we do karaoke here, and that's just your head's on a swivel. You're looking as a linebacker. Your feet are moving. And you're stepping over bodies. You know, it's
and that's where you could
sled push.
We could put agility. Yeah, sled pushes. Those are fantastic.
Yeah.
We could put agility type drills in a warm up like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it for you guys, but like you could do it for a younger group, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, here are the PVC pipes. Don't trip on them.
Yeah.
If you trip, you owe me 5 burpees, right?
Yeah.
And then now they're like, cool. But as part of the warm up,
Yeah.
we got it out of the way, and like, cool.
And it makes it fun.
Yeah.
It's just like the drill with the pipe, the fun.
Oh yeah, the circle.
That was fun. That there is quickness.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's all agility.
Yeah.
And well, not even that. You got to think. You have coordination, balance, agility on that one. You probably speed. You could argue you'd have to speed because you got to be quick on making a decision. Yeah, you got to know, and especially if you're waiting for the coach to yell, and you're just like, you got to listen. That's the other thing with that. So there's a huge mental side of like, all right, hey, I need to train myself to be better at these
It's
things.
like the lineman getting quick off the ball, and on sound, boom, you're right, left, and they got to move.
Yep.
Same thing.
And so it's just like your background in high school training football.
It was fun.
Yeah. Okay. We'll kind of wrap it up here. But anything you would like to add to anyone maybe sitting on the fence? I think your biggest asset is people who are in their 60s or older 50s, and they're like, man, this guy's doing CrossFit. Like, what the heck is like? What would you say to them in order to like kind of take those steps and get started?
I would say, don't be afraid. The only thing you have to be afraid of is not doing it, because your mobility and stuff later in life is going to diminish. So if you can attack it now, do it. Just come and get a little bit at a time and build that agility, build that flexibility and your cardio, because it's going to pay off in the long run, is really my mindset on the whole thing. And then you get a little competitive in there, and you want to chase the younger guys, even though you know you can't catch them sometimes, but you'd like to give them a run for their money. As I really enjoy that thought. I know I'm not going to be able to do what they do, but just thinking that I can get there someday keeps me motivated. So don't be afraid. Be afraid of if you don't come, because what's ahead of you in life, you're not going to like.